Hi everyone, it's Samara. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're actually going to be going over my current TBR. And I know a lot of people do this like by month or by season, but I've had the same TBR for a while now. But yeah, so we're going to be going over my what's on my TBR currently. I've got my tea, I'm wearing my lounge set, and I just thought it would be a nice cozy video. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, firstly I thought we'd start with what I'm currently reading. And if you know me, you know I always have two books on the go. I always have one for home and one for travel. Firstly, starting with the book that I'm currently reading at home, I am reading Life and Death, the Twilight Reimagined book. It is actually the 10th anniversary edition of the first novel, and it is essentially the first book, but gender swapped. I'm not actually a big fan of the Twilight books, if I'm honest. I am just reading it for the sake of reading it, just because it's been on my TBR for a very long time. I just wanted to give it a go. I'm about I don't even know, a quarter of the way through. It's fine. Again, I don't particularly like the Twilight books, but I'm getting through it. Okay, and secondly, my current on-the-go book, so for when I'm travelling, is an Emily Dickinson poetry anthology. So I got this from Waterstones maybe a year and a half ago. It is what it says on the tin. It's an Emily Dickinson poetry anthology. I really love Emily Dickinson's work. I'm a big fan of the Dickinson TV show as well, but yeah, I just think it's really nice to especially have on the go. I don't know, it makes things feel more magical than they are. Sitting on the Central Line isn't that exciting, but reading poetry on the Central Line makes it feel more whimsical. Now let's get on to my actual TBR. Okay, again for this, I'm going to split it into two halves. So I have a list on my TBR that I actually have already bought, I just haven't got around to reading them yet. And then I have a list that I'm still yet to buy, and they are on my TBR as well. Also, this tea isn't a prop, I am actually drinking it in my favourite mug, may I add. It was actually a birthday present from one of my friends, so thank you Ruby for that one. Okay, so first for my currently shelved TBR is A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I have this beautiful cloth bound version, the cloth bound penguin versions, and it is, if you look very closely, it is glittery and sparkly. I think it's very cute. But I'm a big fan of the YouTuber Ruby Granger. If you haven't checked out her content, you definitely should. And this is one of her favourite books. She spoke about it for years. So I wanted to give it a go because I never actually read it as a child. So yeah, I just thought it would be fun to read. Okay, so the next two are actually by the same author slash writer slash playwright. So I have Yerma, and I have Libro de Poemas by Federico García Lorca. So Yerma was actually suggested to me by a friend who studied it at A-level, and Libro de Poemas is obviously what it says on the tin. It's literally a poetry anthology of his work, but yeah, I'm hoping that I will enjoy them when I get to them. Okay, this next one might come as a shock as to the fact that I haven't actually read it yet, but it is 1984 by George Orwell. I know the book, I know the storyline, I understand the concept of it, and I think it's incredibly interesting. I've just never got round to reading it, so this is on my TBR, and fingers crossed I'll get through it by the end of this year. I mean, it's incredibly prevalent, especially right now, and I think everybody should be able to read it, everyone should have access to it. And it's an incredibly important read, despite the fact I haven't actually read it. And finally, on my shelf TBR, we have Cult Trip by Anka Richer. Well, the long name is Cult Trip Inside the World of Coercion and Control. This I actually picked up from a W.H. Smith at the airport, but I thought I was going to finish the book that I brought with me on holiday. I didn't, I just ended up getting, doing so many other things. But it is what it says on the tin. It is a book about cults. I find cults extremely interesting. I'm always watching some sort of Netflix documentary, so I just think this will be a really great read. Okay, and now on to my TBR that I haven't actually bought yet, so I don't have the physical books for these, so I'm actually just going to be reading it off my phone on my Goodreads want to read list. Okay, so first on this list is My Policeman by Bethan Roberts. I haven't seen the film, nor have I read the book. I just know that it's very well acclaimed, and I just think I really enjoy it. A friend of mine has read it and has seen the film, and she thinks I'll seem to enjoy it, so hopefully I do. Okay, so next I have Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Again, I've never seen the film, or like any sort of film or TV show adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. I know what it's about, I know what happens, but I've just never seen any adaptation. I would prefer to read it first before seeing any adaptation, so I'm kind of holding off on that until I get to read it. Okay, next is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Again, the Bronte sisters, love their work, and I do want to indulge in more of it, and I just can't believe I haven't read Wuthering Heights yet. Okay, one of these, and it has a very long title, so I'm going to read it from my phone, is Open Veins of Latin America, 5 Centuries of the Pillage of a Continent by Eduardo Galeano. One of my lecturers actually suggested this to me for one of my essays. I just never got around to reading it, but I do still really want to read this. Okay, next is Out There Screaming by Jordan Peele. Obviously, Jordan Peele is an incredible director. Well, Out There Screaming is actually an anthology of short stories, black horror stories that explore like the supernatural and the occult and things like that. And I'm incredibly fascinated by Jordan Peele and his works, even though they are like the only horror films that like scare me half to death. I just think he's an incredible director, and so I really, really want to get onto this at some point. Okay, so the next one is Parable of the Talents by Octavia E. Butler, which is actually the sequel to Parable of the Sower, which I read late last year. Parable of the Sower, again, is extremely important to know and to have read given the current climate. It talks about a dystopian future, climate change, inaction, and yeah, Parable of the Talents is the sequel to that, and it's an incredible read. I actually read an extract of it in one of my climate change classes in university and was really interested by it, and so bought it and read it myself, and now I want to get through the whole series. Okay, so the next one I've had many chances to read but actually haven't read it yet because it is so long, and that is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Obviously it is extremely important to the degree I did. I studied sociology and politics. I've read many extracts from it, but I've never actually read the full thing because I think that would take a good few months. Okay, so the next book is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Again, I know what it's about, and yeah, The Picture of Dorian Gray is a well-renowned book, and I actually bought it as a gift for one of my friends once, and he loves it, and so I just want to read it myself. Okay, and finally on this list is Heartstopper Volume 6 by Alice Osman. I currently have 4 volumes. I still haven't read Volume 5. So that should probably be on my list as well. But I'm a huge Heartstopper fan, and I just want to see where Volume 5 and 6 takes them. So yeah, that's my current TBR. Not in much depth, but just very briefly so you can see the sort of stuff that I read, I guess. You can follow me on Goodreads and you can see what I want to read and what I'm currently reading, and I'd love to know what you guys are currently reading or want to read as well, so please leave that in the comment section below. But at the moment, I think it's a pretty substantive list to start with, which is why I wanted to do a current TBR as opposed to a sort of seasonal or monthly TBR. Alright guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of my content. Also, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram and Goodreads, they'll all be linked in the description below. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.